And what? It's saying it going live. It's saying live. Yeah, we live. Remember, it's be delayed. Yeah. Yeah, we have a guest today. You're running a little late because Murphy decided to move. Murphy rise the thing. Oh, Sheldon, how you feeling, boy? You better?
Sheldon, what going on? What going on?
Hey, Kyle, I sent a lady to you, boy. I don't know if she called you, Auntie Judy. She want to get some of them herbs. Them herbs. Herbs, E-R-B-S.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? We didn't want to preempt the thing and go too far into the conversation before David reach. You know what I mean? Big up yourself, like, you know.
I just want to state from the get-go, put it on record.
Yeah.
Because you know that there's leave out parts of your conversations, parts of the things you're saying.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not against nobody. What I am against is you talking, showing, exposing, doing what you ought to do for your agenda. But I can't talk about it.
Yeah. Or should have no opinion about it.
Yeah. Especially when I think it affecting me and my seats.
Yeah. Is he?
Is he really in the house?
Trinidad! What go on, my brother? Watch me. That's my ringtone, you know. If nobody know. That tune is my ringtone, you know. That song that's stick in my head every day. Right now, that's my anthem.
What I'm waiting for is I'm waiting for the video, the performance to drop. Because that come out like a traditional calypso, like a real
he delayed.
See that? And then come out with that Trinidad.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to all the day, you know?
Yeah. And everybody ears kind of cocked too when he say it, eh?
Yeah.
Aaron say he ain't doing no rich late punishment today. Everybody we give all enough time to reach. We give everybody enough time to reach, man. Come on.
And what all they do I could remember to tell all the boys, you see that the same thing we just do for people like Sheldon and them, boy. Go and share the thing, boy. Go up, look up Sheldon Mendoza on YouTube and share the thing. Same thing for Easy Read, boy, because we had to make that tune pain.
Yeah, that tune had to go viral. That tune had to go viral.
There's my personal thoughts on it. He shouldn't release nothing else right now. You have them they waiting and you're working on them.
Yeah. Well, from what you say, he had one of them big gun with the super, with the long chain of bullet, you know, it's just when.
It's just songs in that gun,
Yeah, he just has songs in the chamber, he just waiting to release them, you know.
Yeah, just because that song, boy, it desperately needed in
the community,
country, and in the communities, boy.
Yeah.
Desperately needed, boy.
Yeah, and I see a fella put a video the other day talking to Batman, you know. A heart with Batman, and just letting them fellas know that all not making no sense. Because you kill a boy, a man will swing back and kill you. And it's only we in the cemetery, you know. It's only we, when you real about it, it's only we in the cemetery because the people who bring in the guns, them living and them comfortable. The people who bring in the drugs, them living and comfortable, but the two all they killing out one another.
The violence don't reach
it ain't reaching them. It ain't reaching them. You understand what I'm saying?
Them in line down in the night.
Nah,
playing something.
No.
And putting matches on the ground.
Them in the gated. You dig? Them in the mad dog by them. That's how thing nice. Them in the mad dog.
And that's why I tell them, I say, Ollie, we ain't even trying to live good, boy.
Yeah.
When we look at the conditions.
Yeah.
The stark difference in conditions. Like,
yeah.
Me and Vexity with a big gold chain, right? But I can see how that is a necessity.
Yeah.
Over a city poster feeding.
Exactly. How that is our priority? How is our priority?
I ask them, I say, so the one or two that I might talk to guys, tell them, I know I can't reach everybody.
Yeah.
And because some of them ain't even trying.
Right.
But the ones that might engage me, I might be dressing full African gear and
right.
The watch thing, and we end up in a conversation and ask them, like, you know it have matches for $5,000 and thing? Them can't believe that, boy. Call them no sponge.
Exactly.
And that's why I want to expose them to. I want to expose them to simple comforts.
But the thing is, even on that side, right? A part of them, because if we go back beyond slavery, a big part of them is that, you know, be down in gold. When we look at the pictures of Mansa Musa had on, he was draped down in gold. So it is nothing abnormal up to us. It's just the manner in which all you're using it. You understand? And it represent, what it represent is that all you're doing well from gunman thing and badman thing and killing thing. You understand? Yeah, that is what it is. That is what it is. So Orisha Lashe is going to get our guest. Aran, don't go no way, boy. Don't go no way. 4932. Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's a conversation. It's a conversation we're here to have today. And as we say at the beginning, this is not no attack. This is not no disrespect. This is not none of that. It is simply a conversation that we have to have because it's something that is real. And I think if we had to go forward as a community, and it had to play a part in the community, we had to have some understanding both ways. You understand what I'm saying? So I ain't really want the tip. Yeah, all I know we do tiptoe. All I know we do tiptoe. And the brother we bring in today is somebody that real like us and is doing way more work than us in the black community. Through the Black Agenda Project done by Success Lab. Until if all they don't know, or they could visit, there are so many books, so many little programs. They do a reading and a literacy program for black boys. You understand what I'm saying? So if it is, you know, your sons or whoever having issues, you could always send them there to, you know, be a part of the education process, right? And we complain, you know, we complain plenty thing and this and that and the next, but who really getting up and do? Who really getting up and do? And the ones who getting up and do, we ain't helping them. You understand? We ain't backing them, we ain't putting our strength behind them, we ain't putting with dollars behind them, because at the end of the day, as we say, we like to sound good and kumbaya the thing now. You know, because we're looking for acceptance from everybody. And to be honest, I really don't need the acceptance from nobody again, because at the end of the day, everybody had to live their life. Each community had to do what they had to do. And last time I look at myself, I don't look like none of them. You understand? And I don't mean that in no disrespectful way. I look like me, I black. You understand what I'm saying? And I had to defend my people. I had to fight for my people. I had to talk about the things that are affecting my people and my community. Right? If the other communities want to sit down with me and have a conversation about how it's affecting everybody, that's a whole different situation, because then there's a Trinidad and Tobago discussion. You understand? And the Trinidad and Tobago discussion is also one that needs to be had, because people flying out from here, man, busting out by droves. I have about 3 or 4 doctor customers, and all of them studying to leave. And when I say studying, I mean they're contemplating. They are doing studies to leave. You understand what I'm saying? And that is 4 African doctors that we are about to lose, because they don't feel comfortable in a country that they're born, and they're not seeing the opportunity to ply their trade in the country that they're born. So who looking to go Europe, who looking to go US, who looking to go wherever that they could ply their trade and make them money comfortably, because the powers that be here ain't really doing them no justice. Plenty of them working without contract in the hospital, plenty of them working for free. You understand? And I mean, after I spent 7 years of my life in getting education to do something that serves the wider population, it kind of rough to hear, well, boy, we can't get no contract. You know what I mean? That rough. That real rough. You know? So, I know, like, Andre go on to, what is that? Is the do tiptoe we free? If not, what will make us qualify to be your people? Exactly. And that is why I say the conversation needs to be hard, because for me, I know that I have friends, I have family members who belong to this group of people. You understand? And we never had the conversation to, I don't know why, but I ain't afraid to have the conversation. right? But the crux of the matter is we had to be real about it, because it ain't going nowhere as far as I concern. But I just think we need to have a middle ground where both sides need to understand why certain moves and why certain behaviors affecting the community, you know what I'm saying? I know Andre going to get this man, boy, like the man going south. Like the man going south, boy, better drop a tune in the meantime. What let's say, run back the black agenda. Just now. You go back up there, wait. Alright, look at you. I'm running back at you now. Let's hold on till the guests reach.
The first responsibility that devolves upon you is the protection and promotion of your democracy. Democracy means more, much more, than the right to vote, and one vote for every man and every woman of the prescribed age. Democracy means recognition of the rights of others. Democracy means the equality of all.
All right, let me summarize the SW real quick in like 4 bars.
So they lock up someone, being an end, keep non-release, all to the mainstream, talking about bringing back the hangman to hang who? If they wanna stop crime, then they go have to lock themselves up, rape each other for a month, feed themselves prison food and hang themselves when they're done. If they ain't like that, tell them check my when I done. And I go tell them for myself that they can hold their mother cut. Now what? Now they're censoring the media, pressuring 1 or 2 to take Muhammad off the air. Investigating he for incitement, investigate yourself for dictatorship, cause I shit. Real shit, go dead now. I've enough curry to bust a fuck with every crab in the red house. Enough punching to drunken Kamla for a year. Enough bits on YouTube for Ram Lagan to pull out the hair. And in other news, they still fighting Sensi. Coke still coming, the PP still don't like none of we. So don't let them abuse we. Go to arms, free speech, democracy. Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Gonna tell them we'll be free, but we not free to speak. Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Gonna tell them we'll be free, but we not free to
Them
speak.
fellas too bright, so I had to get her to the pen. The last badge on a hip hop come to defend the freedom of speech to criticize the government. They can lie to the masses, but my truth go offend. Them attacks on the media I can't comprehend. Using the martial law to your fancy and whim. Silence who speak the truth and applaud who pretend. Every man you attack skin contain melanin. Instead of trying to get the black agenda to end, they should have tuned into the political sins. Race the sharks in the water, all exposed in the fin. Arrow flying in the dark from political gins. And fuck 1 or 2 if they can't support a brother. We need pillars in the shit. All they moving like some feathers, but I'm standing for my cause. Unshakable tower, watching sat in the face while they're screaming black power. They said nothing when he was trying to incite. Seem like a race war is where you're trying to ignite. All Muhammad trying to do is bring a little insight. When the revolution come, I hope you're ready for the fight.
Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Gonna tell them we'll be free, but we not free to speak. Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Gonna tell them we'll be free, but we not free to speak.
By proclaiming a black agenda, man become an offender. Attempts to silence him by those with hidden agendas. Every time a man of African descent give a speech about oppression, others get defensive. Why should you expect that black men live in the last place position that the world wants to give? Well, I read between the lines, looking to free minds. You want to stay behind to fit into your design, using political clout to try to muzzle my mouth. Can't stop the truth from getting out, but it shows what you're about, which means that addressing the black agenda is the correct road to fill those mental gaps and grow. I'm black and I'm proud, and that I have to show. Black and I'm proud, that I have to show. Black and I'm proud, black and I'm proud, black and I'm proud. The black agenda take my dull and mine and sharpen it. I I put it in my heart, then I hearken it, and then I decide I would like to start with it, and after that, I never want to part with it.
What is the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
What is the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
What is the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Gonna tell them we free, but we not free to speak. What is the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
What is the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
What is the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Gonna tell them we free, but we not free to speak.
Well, boy, me know, like Andre go down lab until to get him on, boy. Because he ain't come back upstairs yet. Yeah, chef, nah. It gonna be normal thing, brother. Because you know, when we have a conversation is conversation. We ain't trying to, it's not that. I'm gonna just put it that way. You understand? Hey. He's here. How you going, brother?
Surviving.
All right.
So we're live, right?
Yeah. We are. Let me just pull your camera one time. Yes. So our guest is here. All right.
Just remove the labels.
Yeah, we ain't getting paid for that. We not getting paid for that. So, folks, welcome to Brother David Mohammed of the Black Agenda, to the Black to Black.
Yeah.
And while he's warming up, there's a video that I would like to play, because this is the video that kind of agitated the topic in the first place. Right, so there we go. Hold 1 second. Video playback. Alright. And we go in here. Where is my... How that end up there, boy?
Due to some violent content, parental discretion is advised.
Right. So let me put a disclaimer here that we not on that. Right? We not on that. And this is something that is definitely going to affect our community, because I don't know if only hear the chant, but I not into that. They are saying we are here, we are queer, and we are coming for your children, right? I have 4. And to be honest, if I have to be honest, that don't sit well with me. And I'll start off with this while David doing his thing, right? America is the standard, apparently. Now, in the education system, or they remove spirituality, or they remove, or trying to remove critical race theory now, because all they realizing now that those two things would not bode well with that movement, right? And countries worldwide pushing back against it. Not just because of the manner in which they're going about it, but because it really is a threat to survival, right? Yes, scientists going about trying to come up with ways for them to be pregnant and make children and all these things. But the crux of the matter is, to those of us who are, I don't know what's the word to use, but who don't subscribe to that agenda, have been bastardized, businesses have been encroached upon, people have lost income, and as a result of a personal stance.
So, and that is where I will jump in here.
Right.
There's my problem with this.
Right.
Even before we go into the logical aspect of this, where Brother David will jump in. You telling me that you showing me this lifestyle, exposing it to my children, and I have no say in whether or not they should be exposed to that.
Right.
And there's my problem. You telling me I can't speak back on this. How? So you free to parade around the streets and say you're coming for my children. I ain't not free to tell you you can't come for my child. And I will do what is necessary to keep my child safe from that.
Yeah.
And this is where we know that is our agenda.
Along with the books and the paraphernalia
that goes with
it, because now in the US they have, and Canada, they have drag queens in the classes. They have cross-dressing fashion shows where they have the children dressing up. And I just find, let the children be children.
I'll say this before we jump in with Brother David, right?
Yes, please, go ahead.
I, as a proud black man, as a proud African, as somebody who considers myself a willing participant in, as my chief does say, the struggle and fight for total and unconditional liberation of African people, I have a problem with my child being able to go to school and see a book promoting all these new aspects of life.
Yeah.
But the very next class that she step into, she can't go and read about Queen Nzinga. Queen Tai.
Kwame Ture, she's a Trinidadian. She going to school here.
You understand? They don't know Kwame Ture, who is that?
Stokely Carmichael. She don't even know either of the two names.
So Brother David is here, and they founded the Kwame Ture Educational Development Center, right? Which my daughter loves and always asking when we go back to do the black market.
Right.
And telling me that in school, none of our friends knows what the Kwame Ture Center is. Brother David, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here on our radio, and I'm very inspired.
Yeah, bring it down for night. A little too tall.
Your conversation, your line of thought, and I look forward to positive discussion.
Yes. Sure. So we have a comment here from one of the listeners saying, yes, but we here are not on that either. So to be honest, we can't outright see the US doing that and think we're on the same agenda. I could rock with that. Here why? Because you let me know, even though that is your choice, that you don't agree with that. Right? But while there's one person, because if we're looking across the diaspora, just this morning I had three of them, three, I don't know what to call it, what to say, three cross-dressers walking across the promenade, the Brian Lara promenade. I had to stop for them to cross. And you're parading going across the street. Now, my two sons in the back seat, I don't know if they see it because I'm married, ask me nothing. But it is there, you know what I mean? And it is now in our faces, right? And while I am trying my best to meet you halfway and try to understand, I also feeling like there is a genuine attack and a genuine pressure on us as heterosexuals to accept that. And there's a difference. And I want to draw the line clearly, son. There's a difference between respect and acceptance. For me, I could respect you, I could talk to you, I could line with you, we could reason, whatever. But your choice is your choice. Just like if I smoking weed and you don't smoke weed, you will move yourself out of the area because you don't want to get high, you don't want the second-hand smoke, whatever. Or if I just drink punch and I just beat woman, you disagree with that. So principle-wise, it's the same thing. So I don't want to jump the gun. Brother David.
Yes.
It's good to have you here, brother.
Yeah, man. Yes. Finally.
Pleasure to be here. Yeah. I mean, there's so many different angles that we can address this subject from. The first thing I'd like to make clear is, of course, there have been evolving, changing, and transforming views and opinions on this.
Yes.
Our view on it, and me as what would be described as a black Muslim, a Pan-Africanist, someone who is dedicated to the reversal of the genocide of the African Holocaust.
Right.
And the pursuit of justice for it through reparations. Our position on this has never changed.
All right.
You can go back 10 years, 50 years, 100 years. What we had to say about it then is the same that we have to say about it now.
All right.
Whereas most society and state institutions have changed their mind. Now, as a believer in a supreme power that makes itself known through scriptures,
right?
The Bible says in the book of Malachi, God is the same yesterday as he is today.
Right.
And tomorrow he changes not. And in the Quran, it says, you will find no change or deviation in the course of the law of Allah. But when we look back at modern society, just within recent times, I remember at one point under senior President George Bush in America, it was illegal for gays to be in the military.
Right.
And then President Bill Clinton made a huge step
in changing that.
Well, he didn't change it fully. It's changed fully now.
Right.
What Clinton introduced was a don't ask, don't tell policy. He said, well, if you're gay and you want to go into the military, we won't ask you if you don't tell us. And that was considered quite radical at the time. Coming up to the 2008 presidential debates, Barack Obama, as well as his vice presidential candidate Joe Biden, who's the current president of the United States, both in the debates said, we don't believe in same-sex marriage because marriage is a union between a man and a woman. 4 years later, in 2012, not only did they agree with it, President Obama had said that his views had evolved on it, but they even donned the White House with the rainbow colors in celebration of gay pride.
Right.
You have our beloved sister, who we're very proud of, in the same way we were proud of President Obama as the first black president of the United States, our sister Kamala Harris, first black woman as vice president of the United States, probably the highest capacity that any black woman has held in American politics. As proud of her as we are in the African diaspora and also on the continent of Africa, she has been commissioned to visit many heads of government of African nations and have discussions with heads of government as well as ministries of education to measure and promote the sensitivity towards transgender and same-sex marriage.
Right.
We also had in the previous election Peter Buttigieg, who was the first openly gay presidential candidate. Now, of course, there would have been them before, but he actually has a husband. And he campaigned with his husband at his side in the same way that a man would campaign with his wife at the side. And even the current, another sister who we're proud of, Carrie Jean-Pierre, she's a current White House press secretary. And she's, openly gay. She has a wife, I believe. And so all of this would have set a new tone of acceptance within the politics. Now, we are over in Caribbean societies, and there are all of these red flags being raised on an attempt of the first world to force, promote, indoctrinate us in this part of the world with swift acceptance of that lifestyle, even though it's against our culture and heritage.
Right.
And that is akin to conquest. But let me just take a quick run through the way the culture is being pushed and promoted. Now, we just had a pandemic.
Right.
And for that entire 2-year period and beyond, Netflix became even more popular than it ever was before.
Yeah.
Right. Now, when you look at Netflix, almost every single popular show on Netflix, which has hundreds of millions of subscribers, people are seeing Netflix more than they're seeing traditional television now.
Yeah.
And just a quick look at some of the shows. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is one of the best comedies there is that we could probably find. The leader of the entire cast is a black man, Andre Braugher, Captain Holt, who is like a role model.
Yeah.
He's like a true character to be able to aspire towards. Dark-skinned, jet black man is the head of the police department. But he has a husband.
Right.
And he got married to a man, but, he's still... They did that with someone who we'd look up to rather than someone else of lesser status in the show. With him, he had this, again, this kind of aura of leadership. And we did a survey in East Port of Spain. This is about 8 years ago.
Right.
For a Kwanzaa event among children. We asked them, what they wanted to be when they grow up. And the majority, these are young children, the majority wanted to be police officers. The majority of our black youth in the communities wanted to be police officers. So now they have the leader of the police officers being portrayed as a man with a husband.
Right.
We have The Flash, which the movie is out now in the cinemas, but the Netflix series of The Flash. The captain of the police department, again, an East Indian man, Captain Singh, he had a husband as well. Now, when it comes to images of black men in particular, another superhero show that's very popular, The Arrow.
Yeah.
The Arrow, the comics used to be Green Arrow. He has a crime-fighting team. But as part of his team, there's this black brother who's a computer genius. He's literally a computer wizard. Any problems he could figure out.
Yeah.
But Curtis is a big, strong black man with a big afro. Curtis married a white man from the police department.
Right.
So you see the pattern there.
Yeah.
How to Get Away with Murder with Viola Davis.
Yeah.
One of our best actresses ever. She just finished playing the Woman King.
Yes.
Representing a black woman in Africa, fighting against slavery, liberating her brothers and sisters, and going to war against the colonizers and enslavers.
Yeah.
But in How to Get Away with Murder, which is one of the best shows, period, on television, the way it's written and presented, not only was she bisexual, but she was leading a team of lawyers, of which so many among them had those kinds of relationships, and she also, two of the top lawyers, two men, got married to each other. And then you have the show The Politician, another Netflix series, which, again, looking at the political circles, you always look at men high up.
High up, yeah.
Because in Shonda Rhimes' other series, Scandal, starring Kerry Washington, you have your fair share of bisexuality in that as well. But one of the most powerful characters in that was Kerry Washington's father. His name slips me now, but very popular black actor. I think the first time I ever saw him was in Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He actually played, that was the first time I recall seeing a black man playing the president of the United States.
Yeah. You can't remember him?
Apart from Bernie Mac and Chris Rock.
Yeah.
I think Morton is
his name was Eli Pope in the show.
Yeah.
Right, so he is in The Politician. He's married to a governor, a woman who's a governor. But the two of them as a married couple have a third party who's a man who sleeps with both of them in a bisexual triangle. Now, again, he just finished portraying one of the most powerful black men in a television program because he was in charge of some organization that had more power than the CIA and the FBI. So they take black men and they put them in these roles and positions. Even Designated Survivor, again, about the presidency of the United States, the office,
leadership,
the White House. They hire a black man who, again, genius with statistics, with data, with computers. But he ends up in a relationship with another black man who's a bodyguard for the president. So you take all of these roles, and there's so many other examples, like House of Cards, where the president of the United States is married to a woman, but he's bisexual, ends up with a bodyguard. Given these presidential bodyguards a really bad name in so many of these shows.
Yeah.
But you have so many examples like this, which are bombarded.
Yeah. Even in the cartoons, because Buzz Lightyear, the captain of the army, she was black, and she was married to a white woman and had a biracial baby in the cartoon. So this is kind of akin to the breaking of the buck in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, but I don't want to preempt it. Go ahead. Sorry.
The Jamaicanish. So just another very quick example.
Just give me a second. Let me take a quick break. And come back to that exact point. Let me take a quick break.
All right. So bringing you this. All right, bringing you this stage. Wednesday, 28th of June, get ready for a showcase of local rock music, born and bred right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Local Lockdown Tuesdays and Rocking Over the Hump Wednesdays at Stages on the Avenue presents Bringing You the Stage Live, featuring the soulful voice of Luna, one of the most powerful female voices in the Caribbean, Althea and her full band, the super talented band Circle Square, and the metal gods Hail the Hatter. Tickets are only 100 and available at the Dalai Lama, 1 Woodbrook Place, Rick's Sports Bar, Southern Main Road, Kirep, TT Lunch Kit, SS Erin Road, Palm East, or call DJ Kello at 350-1182. Doors open at 7 p.m. and showtime is 8 p.m. sharp. This is all powered by Local Lockdown Tuesdays, Stages on the Avenue, Fusion Sound Reinforcement, Purple Cow Advertising, TT Lunch Kit Catering, and OURradio.fm. Yeah. Hold 1 second, guys. Yeah. Folks. No, I have no messages.
I feel that I might have to run on because the teacher say, come on.
Yeah. So back to your point there, David, brother David.
Yeah, so, and again, like I said, there's so many other examples. There's the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, one black character in the show. He is gay. You have Sex Education, where, again, black character, well, he's gay in a university, very bright young man. And he's being bullied by a big, strong white man in the school, who ends up falling in love with him, and two of them end up in a relationship. So there you cover both opposite ends of the male spectrum, the male manifestation spectrum.
Right.
Soft, black brother, big, strong, tough, violent white man. And the thing is, Eric actually went back to Africa, to Nigeria, to acquaint himself with the land of his parents. So he had that consciousness, but, you know, he was a cross-dresser, and he still was promoting that. But in Good Girls, which, again, you know, very well-written crime dramas, one of the characters had a daughter who, at about age 9 or 10, decided to identify as a boy, a girl who decided to identify as a boy. And again, they have this common situation here that if children could be a 6 or 7 year old boy, if they wake up one day and decide that they want to identify as a girl, their choice has to be respected. And likewise, if you have a girl who decides that one day she wants to identify as a boy, right, so legislation is being passed in some of these societies that say that you have to respect those choices and decisions of the children, which is, of course, something that is very distant from what we accept in Caribbean cultures.
Yep. Quite true. So we have some questions. We have... Let me start from the top here. Right, so Sheldon Mendoza asks, how is it different with the LGBT community trying to advance their people, cultures, lifestyle, etc., and the black man attempting to do the same when he is too marginalized by society? Right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's very unfortunate that those kinds of parallels are being made. And I mean, I know Sheldon, very positive, conscious brother.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that we have to be sometimes occasionally lumped in as equal type of struggles when they're not. Enslavement was always wrong. We always fought against it. The scriptures of God, the principles of humanity, the basic mores, laws, rules, and regulations of justice, and every form and manifestation of justice, be it retributive, distributive, or restorative, have all and always fought against the idea of enslavement. Here, there's a phenomena that science itself has changed its opinions over time to try to attempt to justify. And you see, in a nutshell, from a social science point of view, we learn patterns of behavior and human cultures through a process called socialization. There are two stages of socialization, which are primary and secondary. Primary socialization takes place in the home. Secondary socialization takes place in society's institutions, such as the school, the church, the mosque, the temple, the club, the association. So, as individuals, we learn our culture through socialization, and culture is a shared way of life and patterns of acceptable social behavior among a community or population. Now, culture can also be transferred or transformed. It can be changed. So one people that previously practiced one culture as a whole population can now practicing another culture. And there are two ways that that happens. Okay. One is called interculturation. The other is called acculturation. Interculturation is when there's the mixing, blending, and combining of two previously distinct cultures that come together and emerge and evolve with new cultural expressions and elements.
Right.
Acculturation, on the other hand, unlike interculturation, which is like a mutually agreeable combination and synthesis of previously distinct cultures, acculturation is when one dominant culture forces and imposes its way through conquest, invasion, or domination on another subordinate culture. And one of the first positions that is taken in the process of acculturation is that one culture is superior, the other is inferior.
Right.
That one is higher, the other is lower. That one culture is greater and the other is lesser. And because of those cultural differences, it brings about an unworthiness of the subordinate culture to continue to exist. Therefore, it can be either justified to be eliminated or changed. This is what happened to African people under white supremacy, where Europe felt that we did not have the right to exist enjoying our state of humanity because we were not white and we were not Christian. So they came into our societies, robbed us of our name, language, religion, culture, morals, folkways, laws, and norms, and everything that upheld us as a great people in Africa, and we were disconnected and dispossessed from that glorious heritage. We were brought over here. They changed our names, changed our language, changed our religion, and then depending on how near in proximity and similarity we were to them, our human value and worth increased. So the more African we remained, the less human we were. And the more justifiable it was to take our land, enslave us, colonize us, etc. But the more Europeanized we became, then the more justifiable it was for us to continue to exist. So we have their names, we have their language, we have their religion. So I say all of that to say, the manner in which LGBTQI and transgender ideology is being enforced on third world, African, and Caribbean societies today is a form of acculturation.
Right.
The refusal to accept the views, opinions, and perspectives of another culture because you see it as subordinate, inferior, and subhuman. And so we are accused of hatred for even wanting to have a conversation about our own human rights and civil rights to address how we want our children to be taught. There is no part of my belief system that entails persecuting another person for their belief system. Therefore, their belief system should not entail prosecuting me for my opinions. But now they're using their belief system to influence the law. And now the law is changing, and this is why so many red flags were raised when two things happened simultaneously, some would like us to believe coincidentally. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said there's no such thing as coincidence. We in particular must always be very cautious when we observe what is represented as a coincidence. So a letter goes out saying, I have been within the school system. I've been a school teacher for almost 30 years. And for many, I've been a school teacher in the primary school for almost 20 years. And every year, the schools administer a national test. Standards 1 and 3 do maths and English. Standards 2 and 4 do social studies and science. And in all my years, as well as the years before me and the years since I've left, at no point ever were parents asked for permission to do a test. As a matter of fact, you as a parent, if you were to get a letter from a teacher asking you for permission to do a test with your child, you might be tempted to write back and say, well, what have you been doing for the last 6 or 7 years that my child has been in your school? That's why we're sending them to school in the first place. And now all of a sudden you ask me for permission to administer a test? But the letter is also saying, it's a test, but there's also a survey. And the survey would include questions on emotional situations. Now, that comes up at the same time that these books are mass-produced, printed, published, circulated, ready for distribution. At the same time that these tests are coming. And the thing is, what that really raised the red flags was that we have all these private messages that parents were sending around in WhatsApp groups from PTA or Parents Teachers Associations, of which the alarm bells were actually rang not by parents, but by the teachers. Because there are teachers who informed parents, listen, it does not say this explicitly on the consent letters that we sent out, but what they're referring to
is this.
Yes, that they want to measure the sensitivity levels and acceptance of transgender ideology among your children. These are not in the secondary schools. And based on the feedback that we've received, they are not administered to the seniors within the school, which is standards 4 and 5, but the target has been standards 1, standards 2, and standards 3. And when you look at the storybooks that have been made available, one example of an emotional situation was they were referring to a group of friends, boys and girls, a group of friends together. And one day John kissed James. And they had strange feelings. And at first they thought that the feelings were wrong, but the book is explaining that the feelings are okay. The other major and very swift transformation is in social studies and on a higher level, sociology or social psychology, where you have 6 types of family structures. So you have the nuclear family, which is considered to be the ideal prototype, but you also have the extended family, the single-parent family, the visiting unit, the reconstituted family, where relatives from other backgrounds would come together. And then you have the one that is considered to be most sociologically problematic, the sibling household, which is just one generation of siblings where the eldest one takes care of and in charge of the younger ones. But now there's an attempt to introduce an ideology that a nuclear family can have, because it's defined as both parents and children. But there's an attempt now to inject the view that, yes, a nuclear family is still both parents and children, but both parents can be of the same sex. And that is being slipped in so surreptitiously that it didn't even require an amendment to the curriculum. That's what makes it dangerous, but that's also what makes it scary. Because here we are, after 400 years of injustice, oppression, tyranny, enslavement, genocide, mass murder of African people and colonization, we are still fighting to get black history on the school curriculum.
Yeah.
But overnight, the LGBTI and the transgender ideology comes in through the back door. And again, it is being done with the cooperation and complicity of many of those already in the system who have not overtly declared their support or interest for this. Because I remember years ago, in Trinidad, making the point that, and you know, I would have made this in reference to, for example, how our media covers issues like African Liberation Day, May 26th, Black History Month, November, certain celebration. Oh gosh, Juneteenth, which there was a mass shooting on Juneteenth this year in Illinois, which I haven't heard too many follow-ups from, but that could amount to one of the biggest hate crimes because it was a Juneteenth celebration of African Americans, and about 20 were shot. Haven't heard anything since. We know if it was members of the Jewish community who experienced something like that on one of their Holocaust memorials, it would have been massive. It would have been global.
But so that could probably be why the submarine was so prominent over the last 2 weeks. Anyway.
Sickening.
Yeah.
So I remember saying in Trinidad, look, our media many times doesn't pay attention to these matters. But at the same time, and listen, I would have started saying this maybe as long as 8 or 9 or 10 years ago. But there are certain media houses in this country that if in the remote part of the most remote state, in the most remote town in America, that 6 or 7 LGBT people gather together and have a protest or a march or a demonstration, and they get some victory, whether it's in a minor lawsuit or it's on the news on that station. Certain Trinidad and Tobago media houses will cover it. It could be somewhere so far away, Finland or Norway or Sweden or Switzerland or up in the hills of Russia, and there's an LGBT issue that made the local news there. We will pull it in and represent it to our population. So it is as if they have laid a foundation for that over all of these years. So now that the textbooks are released and exposed, we understand the denial that's taken place. What needs to be addressed more than the denial is whether or not it's a coincidence that all this material appeared simultaneously. But a foundation of empathy has been laid for this, and I believe as well that those who were participating in that empathy and softening up our society to receive this, I think they were probably alarmed, a bit surprised by the impact of the backlash, because people came out heavy against this. The petitions, the mass circulation of issues of concern, the public and open condemnations, it was a lot. It
Jamaica
was a lot.
too.
Of course. I mean,
brothers, excuse me, because I have to leave.
Yes, understood.
Well, let's say come for your children because of the weather, and the teacher knows where she's leaving now, because she's from our front loan area. But I want to leave asking this right again. Because I see, well, Sheldon say he playing devil's advocate, right? But you know, sometimes the devil's advocate does get the most attention now. Right? I started off the program before you reached by saying, I'm not trying to interfere with you and your lifestyle. I'm not trying to come, you will never hear me or see me advocating to do you anything negative based on your lifestyle when it comes to that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying to you, just like you made a choice, and you're free to come here on our live stream and talk about your choice, how is it you have a problem with me talking about my choice? And the decisions that Ole making that I have no part in?
Yeah.
because you said something earlier, and most Trinidadians, because we so caught up in life, we're not aware. The American vice president going all over the place and
To
talking.
black countries.
But it's not just going to talk.
Mm-hmm.
A big part of it is, well, you know, if you don't do that,
Of course.
the foreign aid.
Of course.
Yeah, cutting off.
Yeah,
Conditionality.
Exactly. Right? When you are when in your budget that we don't hear about as the public, part of that is, well, you know, they said again, we $3 million US to help with this year. But the public don't know what that $3 million US is really used for. When they tell you, we come and have a meeting with you, the Prime Minister, blah, blah, blah. If you do implement this and support this, and in this case here, with America, is not just this agenda. It's all their agendas. A big part of how they go around the world enforcing their agendas, why they all over the world, is because of the aid that they give, monetary aid.
Financially.
Right? I personally don't think we have the leadership in this country that would say, nah, we in supporting that. I'm asking, how is it that it's so easy? And as I say, lay the foundation was laid. The foundation was laid with all the movies and the TVs that it started off with one little thing per second that if you blink, you miss it. And then it started off with, what is that? And then it gradually come until now we have whole TV shows, whole movies based on it.
Yeah.
Right?
When that movie Brokeback Mountain came out, it was a novelty.
Yeah.
Because of
it
what
was
it portrayed.
only one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Now you have hundreds of other
and
similar content of which it's not even paid attention to.
But this is why
it's the new normal.
Yeah.
Even besides the new normal, I think it goes a step further. And this is why I say to you, you can't come to tell me, accept me, when you forcing that down my throat. And I not even trying. I am a proud black man, and I not even trying to force my black agenda down your throat. You know? But I say to you, I think there's an agenda in Hollywood. I think it are two agendas in Hollywood. One, to get a new show approved, must have a gay character.
Yeah.
In some way, form, or fashion. And black women, it seemed like you must wear a long weave to be the next thing in Hollywood. You can't tell me every single black woman that goes to star for a show wants to wear that.
Right.
I can't accept that all the thousands of women we see on TV, all them thousands of women, that's how they want to style the hair.
Yeah.
And it I sure each of us realize, like, guys, it would seem like, oh, there's your script for the show. Oh, we didn't see no Adam and Adam, man. Or we didn't see no Eve and Eve. All right, it Hannah. Because I always remember Dave Chappelle saying, for the movie Blue Streak with Martin, they come and tell him, this script here, the girl will change, the scene where you're running out the back of the station, they put on a dress. He's like, I ain't doing that. And he stand for me, he's like, no, I'm not doing it. He said, and 10 minutes after they come back, it's a normal script. All I asking is, how is it you clamoring and fighting for them rights? But I do seem to have the right to say I do want no part of that. I don't want that I wrong my child. I don't want that I wrong my child.
Yeah.
That's my right. So what is it that when your rights get enacted, I no longer have rights? And this is
that's the conversation that I think a lot of people.
That's one of my biggest questions with that.
Yeah, because
as you question them,
they
don't even want to deal with the question, you know. Because I don't think they'll question you, know, Brother David. Because you come at them with logical thing. They want to go by the people and them who will deal with the emotional. Nah.
Right, and I say that is why we are losing the battle.
Yeah.
Because those who are for it, they go into the science, into research, in gathering data, and presenting a perspective. Well, it would have to be what is referred to as pseudoscience, because science is established by starting off with a question or a hypothesis, identifying the variables involved, testing the relationship between the variables, gathering data through either experiments, survey, observation, and then collecting that data.
Right.
and then coming to conclusions on it based on empirical observations. So science has already proven the male and female biology requirements to reproduce and procreate the human species. That's been proved a long time ago. But those who are for this are twisting the science, come up with what is called pseudoscience from 2013, because from 2013 to now, gender identity disorder, the term disorder has been changed and taken out into syndrome. Long before it was disorder, it was illness. So science has always been as it was. But the reason that we're losing the argument is because those who are for it are trying to change the science and sticking to the pseudoscience. But those who are against it, they totally ignoring the science and using emotion, anger, and rage. That's not going to work.
Exactly.
Imagine, for example, you as a parent are suing the state for introducing those books in the school system.
Right.
You end up in court. The people who promoting the book, they giving you all kind of historical background and science and issues. The people who are against the book in the schools, when they're ready to talk to the court, say, Your Honor, it dirty, it stink, it nasty, it dirty. Them people evil, they have to burn fiber. And the judge will say, order in the court. Say, Your Honor, you supporting that too or what? Your Honor, what wrong with you? They get him out there. He's gone. He hasn't even gotten an opportunity to argue his case.
Yeah.
And one of, and I just want to put this on the table, one of the most dominant early positions on this that have guided and shaped principle and thought on it, especially as you now have same-sex marriage in the church, in some of the religious institutions. In the book of Leviticus, chapter 20, verse 13, it says, if a man lies down with another man as he would with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall be put to death. They have committed perversion. Their blood is upon them. That is what every version of the Bible says. That's not my opinion. Not even the Holy Quran comes out that harsh, calling for the death penalty on that. Romans chapter 1 from verse 24, again, it gives a very long narrative talking about those who have uncleanliness in their hearts through their lusts, their misunderstanding of God, and they've given themselves up to vile affections where men are lying down with men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burning in their lust, one towards the other, men with men working that which is unseemly. That's scripture. That's Bible. And in the Holy Quran, of course, in Surahs 7, 11, and 27, it also deals with it. But instead of going into all of it, I'll summarize the terms that the Holy Quran uses in those 3 chapters to refer to homosexuality. Uses the term lewdness, transgressing beyond bounds, shameful, iniquity, and done through gross ignorance. So there's no way that we can change that. And then Minister Louis Farrakhan, his clear statement on this was that the God of the Bible and the God of the Holy Quran are against homosexuality. Now people would raise their hand and say, but God loves everyone and God will. So I say, no, hold on. Maybe your God, whatever God that is, but the God of the Bible and the God of the Quran has openly condemned this, so much so in the Bible, even calling for the death penalty for it. So you cannot twist those texts on it. If you want to open another institution to have same-sex marriage, fine. But you cannot do that with those ones where it has been so explicitly mentioned.
So, brothers, sadly, I have to throw.
Yes.
Brother David, thank you. You know, a whole.
Yes, pleasure being here. Pleasure being here.
So we have, well, So we have some comments, Brother David, that I want to read out here, right? So we have, well, Sheldon say he was being the devil's advocate.
Right.
But then we have a young lady by the name of Ifawumi. She says, that's something I want to get her first comment. She says, okay, so my question is, why do they, the LGBTQIA community, have to continue living small to avoid you having to handle uncomfortable questions? So my thing is here is this: I am not trying to tell anybody to hush or stay in a corner and don't come out and don't do this and don't do that.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I don't understand that even. No. Let me make a point to that, sister.
Go ahead.
And how this came on our doorstep as the Nation of Islam.
Right.
On October the 16th, 1995, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan led the Million Man March. Called for 1 million men, 2 million black men showed up. Massive victory. 5 years later, for the 5th anniversary of the Million Man March, Minister Farrakhan hosted the Million Family March,
Right.
where he commemorated marriages of over 100,000 couples. Right. Then for the 10th anniversary of the Million Man March, the minister hosted something called the Millions More Movement. So it started with the black man, then it went to the black family,
right.
And now it's movements of movements. And then some of the black LGBTQ interest groups approached Minister Farrakhan and said, but you talking all this black unity, you talking about black people must get together, say, but we're black too. But our lifestyle is different, but we're black too. What, you won't unite with us? Then Minister Farrakhan declared openly, he said, listen, you are our brothers and sisters. There's no discrimination. There's no segregation or separation between us, but we are against that lifestyle. Let me tell you something. We, the Nation of Islam Brothers, at the Kwame Ture Center there, we meet with persons in gangs. We have interacted with persons who have sold drugs, who have carried guns, who have committed crimes. I go into the prison all the time. But when we meet with the brothers in the gangs to bring about some kind of peace treaty, they are our brothers. They are our family. We don't agree with the lifestyle that they are involving themselves in. We don't support it, and we speak out against it. But we embrace our brothers the same way. In whatever field of human endeavor it is. It's the same with the LGBT community. We don't agree with their lifestyle, but we will defend their human rights and civil rights in the same way that we will defend our own human rights and civil rights. But the mistake comes along the way when there are those who think that part of their human rights is to deny me of my human rights. And it has become so aggressive and based on victimhood that some are being cajoled and even intimidated into complying with it out of fear of some kind of social exclusion consequences. But the sister should understand that, no, there's no discrimination, there's no barrier against this. And like I said, we were always ahead of our time with this. I will tell you about a situation. I was in Peru. When I was manager of the national football team, the Soca Warriors, we were in Peru on the way to Chile. And we were in the airport. And there was a group of about 20 or 30, LGBTQ people. And there was some issue where they were making a lot of noise in the airports and carrying on and so on. And some of those in our traveling group started to make some remarks. You know, the whole thing about fire and firebomb and so on. Now, this was 2010, 13 years ago. And I remember saying to them, I said, but wait, what is it? What is it that you're saying? Firebomb, this and that should happen to them and so on. I said, but you know something? All of us have sins, right? You look at 3 scriptures for religious people: Old Testament, New Testament, Quran. Old Testament says, all of the righteousness of man is as of filthy rags in the eyes of God. All. That's the Old Testament. The New Testament says there are none good No, not one. And even when they praised Jesus, oh good master, he said, why are you calling me good? There's no one who's good except the one that is God.
Right.
And the Quran says, if God were to punish man for his sins, there won't be not even one.
Remaining.
It doesn't say, well, you'll have a separate 10,000 in a secret location or another 3,000. It won't even have one living soul left.
Yeah.
So me, as a believer in that perspective, how can I advocate brutalization and terror and injury on someone else for their sin when I also have sinned, that if God were to execute his judgment on me at this very moment, that I will find myself under the same punishment as someone else who I might be condemning.
Yeah.
So there's a maturity that is required to examine this, and the LGBTQ community cannot constantly bring up the issue of victimhood and say, well, we're being persecuted, when some of those who are 100% against their lifestyle at the same time will be some of the main people who will defend their position. There might be other LGBTQ people who are less willing to defend their rights as human beings than some of us who disagree with them.
Right.
So there's no requirement for those who live that lifestyle to live in a bubble or to be afraid or terrified in society. But again, all human rights have to be respected. And the way that it's going now, there's an overly aggressive pursuit in trying to force on others a lifestyle that they neither believe in nor agree with.
And they are using techniques because you've taken a symbol that would have otherwise been used to represent when the rain and the sun fall. And you've taken that now and made that your flag. Right? So if you are saying that you are not badgering or not trying to impose, then why use that on all the children toys? Because now remember, those colors were used back in the day, my marketing, to attract children. So now everything has a rainbow on it. I have my son used to watch Achille and Me. I don't know if you know Achille and Me, right? So Achille and Me is a black cartoon that teaches alphabet, that teaches education and stuff. But the lion has on a rainbow shoe. The hippopotamus has a rainbow around its neck. The Achille dress, the cowl of her dress, the neck, is also a rainbow. So now it's like subtly that you've used this image to, again, as we were talking about earlier, to subtly make it the norm with the children. Because remember, once the children accept it, the next generation will be fine. It's really us. You know,
and that's why they're going after the very young children as
correct.
well.
So for me, and that's where the disconnect is coming between the unaccepting and the accepting. Because for me, the disconnect is we always go to, as you say, emotion. But if you really pay attention to the manner in which it is being done, it will raise a red flag. Because, all right, you're not forcing. Because one of my friends made a likening of the struggle to civil rights, right? And I say I can't accept that, because you could do your thing, I could do my thing, and we could live. But the fact of the matter is, you are trying so hard to have mass acceptance that it is now becoming the same thing that you were fighting against before, which was bullying.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You were saying that we were bullying you.
Contradiction.
Yeah, it is a major contradiction. So if it is we were just living and you doing your thing, I doing my thing, and we getting along and everything cool, that's a different discussion. But when a couple who has a bakery, says, listen, I don't want to make your cake, I could refuse a mission, you take the man to court and shut down the man's business. Right? And this is where the line becomes blurred, because now you're taking it from, well, I mean, you could go by any bakery, but why this particular bakery?
And why close
them down? Why go to those extreme measures to remove a man's income because he does not walk the walk you walk in? You understand? And I think that's where we get any confusion. So we have some other comments. The uncomfortable conversation is exactly what the fear is. The other thing is the use of the word option as if we chose our skin, and I mean sexuality. All right. I have plenty comments here, boy. Further to Sheldon's point. Why do we as Orisha followers like to ignore the androgynous, gay or bisexual Orisha stories?
What transgender or gay or bisexual stories? What are they referring to?
I have no idea. So Kyle says, in response to that, I am new to the Orisha teachings. From what I have learned so far, androgynous energy is acknowledged, especially through the Orisha Obatala. Those teachings are not ignored, but embraced with understanding.
No. Let me address that.
Go ahead.
All right. First of all, in order to touch the root of that, don't get that twisted up in this at all. In the Quran, it says God made the human being, male and female, twin halves of the same divine essence.
Right.
Within the male, there are qualities and characteristics of the female that are dormant, as in the female, there are qualities and characteristics of the male that are dormant.
Right.
There's not 100% of each gender in its full and complete manifestation on either side. Now, to our beloved friend there, we have to understand that this idea of transgender is fairly new. When we were going to school in the 1990s, 80s, 70s, and go back, we were familiar with the idea of transsexual.
Right.
And a transsexual person
has both genders. Yes?
No.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
A transsexual person is one who has changed their gender biologically.
Right.
So, in particular, men who take a sex change operation
to become a woman.
Right, and they become what? So, they were called transsexual.
Right.
So, in order to be a transsexual, you have to physically change your biology.
Right.
But in order to be transgender, you only have to change your mind. Because you can remain with the same biology.
Right.
But identify yourself differently. And then simply with that change in perspective of your own personal self-concept,
right,
your objective of being transgender, not transsexual, your agenda of becoming transgender has been accomplished. Now, a transgender person is described in the literature as one whose biological sex does not correspond with their cultural, sociocultural, or ideological gender. So they are physically male,
right,
but mentally female, and vice versa.
Right.
But up to 2013, the literature referred to that as a disorder. Now they're using the term gender dysphoria.
Yeah.
And gender dysphoria at first was seen as a state of confusion, as it refers to a condition where there is not the proper alignment. The other term that is used is congruence.
Right.
So gender discongruence again means, again, they move from dysphoria. They move from disorder to dysphoria to incongruence. Meaning that it doesn't, when it was a disorder, and before disorder, it was illness. It's considered a sickness.
Right.
How could you be, and this is like in the 60s and 70s, say, how could you be a man and think that you're a woman? Again, traditionally, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in the hadith, it was brought to him that there was a man who was dressing up and acting like a woman. And he said, that man has a curse. And that view has prevailed for centuries up to literally just the other day. That it was considered to be wrong, as the Bible says, as we just pointed out, that if you're physically a man, but you're thinking like a woman, that was called an illness or a mental sickness. Then later on, it became a disorder.
Right.
In 2013, it switched from a disorder to dysphoria, and now we're in the era of gender incongruence. And then, as you were pointing out in a lecture recently, so when someone suffers gender incongruence,
right,
there are a number of approaches that they could take. There's either therapy or counseling or gender reassignment surgery.
Right.
And then they give the lists in the literature of reasons that a person who encounters gender incongruence or dysphoria does not pursue those changes. And part of the reason is financial situations. So imagine now someone wants to change their gender, but cannot afford it. And you know, we have in the community people walking around with raffle sheets and donation sheets. Imagine someone coming to you, say, I'm trying to raise some funds. Say, what's up? You know,
and go fund me.
to change genders.
Right.
You know. So the gender incongruence has accompanied an ideology to support it as a condition and even normalize it as a condition and try to destabilize and make abnormal or subnormal the previously scientific view that heterosexuality is the way that human beings should coexist and cohabit if they're to achieve the biological objectives of procreation and reproduction. Right? So it's almost like a complete turning of the tables. And that now is where we are, because now we're about to enter into a new era because it's on the doorstep of the schools. So all of this convincing and tracing and tracking from sickness to disorder to dysphoria to incongruence and to be constant, that whole evolutionary process taking place overnight. By just putting it in the school system. So when it comes to those traditional African folk tales, stories, folklore, historical characters, and you could ask our brother Rubadiri Victor about this as well. We have, in our African heritage, always had an acknowledgement and an appreciation of the duality of male and female, and those combined empathies in human character. You must have that balance even in your own character. That which has been an ancient traditional African appreciation perspective must not be confused with the promotion of either complete role reversal or role abandonment when it comes to gender. And I'll just go a bit further on that, because Minister Farrakhan teaches that when you have a woman who's pregnant, she may want desperately to have a boy child. And in her longing for a boy child, she might give birth to a girl. The minister says that that longing and desire to give birth to a male child accentuates on the character of the child, and it can also incline them to have more female tendencies. Further to that, when that child is breastfeeding off the mother, and the mother is in an emotional state, the chemistry of her thoughts are being passed on through the chemistry in the milk, becoming part of the nourishment of the child, who is also thinking and intaking thoughts. Remember, the mind of a child is like a blank slate. So you have all of those prenatal circumstances and conditions that do have an impact on the gender inclination of the child. And this is why there is a crime called child grooming. Because it's clear, I've been a school teacher for all these, I've taught thousands and thousands and thousands of children. From age 5 to 10, there are some boys who are a little bit more feminine. And there are some girls who are a little bit, I remember a girl in one particular primary school, she was a footballer, playing cricket, running in the mud, playing.
Yeah.
So all of those can be linked to prenatal circumstances and conditions that would have had some kind of subtle impact on the character of the child.
Yeah.
But when a predator
Picks up.
a pedophile or some kind of sexually pervert individual with intentions observes, say, a male child who is a bit more feminine, and then they try to capitalize on those features of that child's personality and then end up in a scenario where the child is sexually abused, how dare that individual or society try to say he was born like that? Yes, he was born with some feminine characteristics. But for you to abuse, target, engage in child grooming as a pedophile, and then end up sexually abusing someone like that, and then try to say that they were born that way, that is where a major clash will take place also. Because it's almost as if there's the justification for those kinds of sex crimes. We know that all of it does not entail that.
Yes.
But a lot of the narratives that came out are trying to justify that.
True.
That is dangerous.
All right, so we then have, let me see, where we at? Sheldon says, the LGBTQ community are not even in alignment with each other, hence the reason there are so many different letters in the name, and they even keep adding more as they allow people, more people with agendas. And now the pedophiles are there, they are now joining the fight, because they are saying they have a right to be attracted to children, and they are calling themselves minor attracted persons, right? So now you see the agenda starting to shift even further, right? Because as you said just now there, it is being subtly changed, and overnight we go to sleep tonight, and then we get up tomorrow and we hear they change this, they change that, they change the next, and we have to accept it. And then when you look at the news, you are seeing in the schools in the US where, I mean, we had a talk because remember Trinidad, if America sneezes, Trinidad catch the cold, right? But you are seeing now where the drag queens are going into the schools and they're having parades and reading stories to the children and influencing the children's thought processes. But if a child is not being a child or not being allowed to be a child, and you are coming and planting these seeds, then the child will automatically start thinking about those things, right? But if you allow them to be the children that they are, have fun, play, thing, and when they get to adulthood, which is why, I don't know if you ever seen the documentary, What is a Woman?
I don't know if I would have seen that, but I've seen quite a few.
Right. So there are little snippets of this guy, Matt. I remember his surname. But he would have interviewed a transgender individual who would have changed sex and now regretting because they're having a lot of issues with the medication. He would have also interviewed a physician, quote unquote, who administers the medication to the children, the puberty blockers and all these things. And one of the medications is actually used for euthanization in the death penalty. And when he asked the question, she responded, well, I am a physician and I prescribe medication to children for their conditions. So with all the arguments and all the conversations and stuff, you are starting to see the loopholes in their position that they really it starts to feel like a vice, right? And this is just my perspective, you know?
Yeah, because I did even hear Bruce Jenner.
Yeah.
Who's like probably the most globally famous person who has undergone this gender reassignment surgery, who was even against, can't remember exactly what factor or feature it was, but was even in disagreement with certain aspects of this. Another peculiar issue with this whole topic is that, so we over here in the Caribbean, we might find ourselves, and I remember when Donald Trump became the president of the United States, there was no shortage of articles and commentaries coming out of the Caribbean on how dangerous it would be and how hostile their position, how America's position against the Caribbean would be now that someone of these views is in the White House and so on. And while I appreciate that, that a Democratic as opposed to Republican administration in America might be more friendly to the Caribbean region. Well, there are pros and cons. Because it's the Democrats
that pushing
who are pushing this heavy.
Yeah.
And I don't think if a Republican government is in office, for example, that they'll be sending representatives to the Caribbean or Africa to have discussions about including transgender ideology in the schools.
Yeah.
But we have a Democratic government, which generally will be more friendly to Caribbean societies, but at the same time will be heavily pushing this agenda.
Yeah.
It's even an issue right now in the States because it's gone as far as in sports, where men who identify as women can now compete in women's sports.
Yeah.
How are you going to have a man and a woman? Which woman is going to fight Mike Tyson?
Yeah, but it's happening because there was a fight with the MMA fight.
A man won, and I mean
he beat the brakes off that girl, man.
That's terrible. That's terrible. So you're gonna okay in football, right? I don't care what anyone says. I'm saying what I know. You don't put a men's team to play a practice match against a women's team. It is not done. When I was manager of the national football team, you know what I saw a few times? The women's national team, the women's national senior team will be put in a practice match with the men's under 17 team.
Yeah, because that's where they are.
That was considered to be an equal match. Right? And I think I did see one match, women's senior team. It was, I think her name was Michelle Ned. Brilliant footballer, very skillful. They won 1-0 against the boys under 17, which would have been boys 15 and 16 years old. You cannot put a men's team to play
same
against
age.
a women's team of the same boxing,
anything,
MMA, tennis.
Because even the balls are different. In basketball, there is a female ball which is smaller and lighter.
You're not going to put a group of men, top-level professionals. I'm not saying that there aren't teams of women that will beat the hell out of some teams of men. Most certainly
of course.
There will.
Yeah.
But on the highest level, no, it's unfair. So now they're trying to push this ideology that if a man identifies as a woman, he could play women's sports. After they gave so much hell to our black sister from South Africa, remember all those years? Who they said, now she was a woman.
She was a woman,
But they said, nah, she's a bit too tough as a woman. And they banned her. But now they're getting men, real men, and putting them in the sport. And that now coming on the heels of the whole bathroom issue. So man who identifies as a woman can now go into a woman's toilet with girl children in there. And again, there was some incident that took place. A transgender man is accused of rape. Should he go to a men's prison or a woman's prison? And you have all of those issues, of which it seems like there were no solutions for at the time when they tried to promote and force these kinds of decisions into the system. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse. Honestly, I think there's only so far that it can go. Because and I think eventually a lot of those decisions would eventually be reversed.
And one of the so there was a question here. Well, actually, so the suggestion is eliminate them all. What to do with them? How to help them?
Eliminate who?
The LGBT.
On what grounds is that being asked? No one is suggesting
such. And that's the thing for me. Like, all right,
it's like we're being accused of saying things that we're not saying at all. I don't know if that person just tuned in or logged on.
No, he was on from the beginning.
Right, but dear friend, didn't you not hear us talk about the protection of persons from brutality, from violence, from abuse? And that we who believe in our human rights, and as a human being of consciousness, you naturally believe in the human rights of all peoples. You don't, any believer or lover of justice does not believe in justice only for some. Because it's not justice if it's justice for some. It has to be justice for all. So we uphold the idea of preventing any kind of violent abuse against persons who are that way inclined, but at the same time we have the right to protect ourselves from ideas. So wait. Is it that the listener is saying that why they should be protected and defended. We are the ones who should be left open to abuse and accusation. No, beloved. No, sir.
Nah, I don't think it's that. But
right,
my thing is, we could coexist. So here's my thought process, right? Because I like to apply common sense across the board. So for years, we watching movies, we would see TV MA, rated R, rated MA, mature audiences only, and then they would list what's happening. If you have flashing lights, if you have adult scenes, suicide, rape, all those things. So they let you know at the beginning of the movie, this is what's about to take place, you choose.
Soon they'll be warning heterosexual relationship.
Yeah.
That would be the warning,
right? And my thing is, if this is your place and this is where you want to be and you want to create a space, then do so. Right? You could build these schools, because Brother Umar Johnson has been trying to build a black school. I don't know if he's done yet. But that's what we have to do.
He was in Jamaica yesterday, and some very good close associates of mine were with him just yesterday. Yeah.
Okay.
Jamaica.
Yeah, we need to bring him.
School.
We need to bring him. I don't know how possible it is.
I've spoken to him on a number of occasions about that.
Right.
And just before the pandemic, we were making arrangements for him to come to the Kwame Ture Center. There's no better venue than that,
of
period,
course.
in the country, probably in the entire Southern Caribbean or Eastern Caribbean.
Yeah.
But
that is a perfect example of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because we are saying that we are for the black agenda. We are saying that we are for the black fight. And the only way to do so is to build a space where we could be comfortable and we can come and discuss issues, which is what we did with Black to Black, right? Because for me, there is no topic that we should not be able to discuss in our community, right? Because I believe that communication is what is suffering in our community.
If there's disagreement, we argue in the best manner, maintaining respect, and we find a way to incorporate our diverse opinions in one single struggle.
Yes.
It can be done.
Yes, I agree. So let me take one quick break before we finish. It's 1:47, and we have a little bill to pay here for Kello. Are you ready to take your... What is this for? No, there's something else. Kello. Wednesday, 28th of June, get ready for a showcase of local rock music, born and bred right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Kill Local Lockdown Tuesdays and Rocking Over the Hump Wednesdays at Stages on the Avenue presents Bringing You the Stage Live, featuring the soulful voice of Luna, one of the most powerful female voices in the Caribbean, Althea and her full band, the super talented band Circle Square, and the metal gods Hail the Hatter. Tickets are only $100 and are available at the Dalai Lama, 1 Woodbrook Place, Rick's Sports Bar, Southern Main Road, Curep, TT Lunch Kit, SS Erin Road, Palm East, or DJ Kello at 350-1182. Doors open at 7 p.m. and showtime is 8 p.m. sharp. This is all powered by Local Lockdown Tuesdays, Stages on the Avenue, Fusion Sound Reinforcement, Purple Cow Advertising, TT Lunch Kit Catering, and OURradio.FM or .fm as we say. So we have a couple more comments. Sheldon said it's amazing to listen to Brother David Mohammed explain these things with such ease. That's why we had to bring somebody, because I didn't want for us to have this discussion without somebody who has the ability to communicate, because as I said just now, I think that we struggle to be able to talk in the community. If I have an issue with my wife, I should be able to talk to her. It shouldn't be that I feel if I talk to her about it is going to cause animosity or whatever the case is. And then she, on the receiving end of that, she has to understand that there is an issue. And the fact that there's an issue, and I'm coming to you to bring it, that we should be able to have that discourse,
without conflict.
Yes, and fear of retribution.
And this is why, too, in us building our center in honor of Kwame Ture, we are always mindful of the name and objective of Kwame Ture's organization. He launched the All African People's Revolutionary Party.
Right.
And as we say, it was not the some African People's Revolutionary Party.
Or the straight African people.
It was the All African People's Revolutionary Party.
Right.
And so our objective, and I found myself saying this in the office because we have had some. We have had persons in our building at the same time who were in conflicting situations that had to be handled and managed harmoniously. In some cases, some heavy conflict. And in situations like that, one of which would have been within the last 2 weeks or so, I say, listen, once you come into this building, we have established the unity of all African people as an underlying dominant principle for everything we proceed forth with. So if you come in here, we could go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right? But once you're in here, that has to be an objective for us having this discussion.
Right.
And once you come in here, a lot of those issues have to be shelved or left by the door if there's any kind of self-hatred. You come in here, we deal with this as an objective and
safe space.
Yeah, and you know we've always enjoyed that reciprocation in that regard.
All right, so. Excellent. Was that he didn't bother up anybody?
What's that?
No, one of the guys was saying that. Well, we usually would bonfire now, but he was saying that we didn't do it today, and he's pleased. Lizelle says a 14-year-old boy bathing naked with a 12-year-old girl. With 12-year-old girls because he identifies as a girl. Yeah, those are some of the things that we have to discuss. And there she says again, what about the man who went to women's prison because he identified as a woman and impregnated some of the prisoners? These are real scenarios, you know. There's no make-up thing, you know.
Right. So, question is, does he really identify as a woman?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if someone who identifies as a woman will impregnate other women. I mean, that's just not how it works.
It doesn't work that way at all. So,
wait, did he identify as a woman before he was arrested or after he was arrested?
I can't say. I really can't say.
Like after he was arrested, you know what?
I identify as a woman.
Brother with deep voice, strong, bold brother, as they arrest. I'm a woman. Send me to his prison. He goes in there. Goes to woman prison and makes mass.
Yeah, yada ball. And then Aquino said, put LeBron in the WNBA. He will score 150 points per game. That's just reality. That's just reality, you know. If we being real, we being real. You know, but again, our program has never been one to provide prejudice or anything of the sort. We always strive to understand. We always strive to bring understanding. Our hashtag is facing our issues and formulating solutions. So we always try to, you know, bring the topics that everybody's afraid to discuss. Because in the early part, I mean, if I scroll back up here, there were some comments that were the victim. From the victim perspective, you know, because of course emotion will run high and that kind of thing. But I personally have to give you a lot of props because I appreciate the ability that you have to be able to bring that understanding across because even within my space, I am a Baba. I try my best to listen and do a lot of counseling and stuff, and I have to remove that emotion from the situation a lot of times because if it is there, bring a situation to me that is one that could be personal to me, it changes the response, you know. So that's why we said we've been trying how to figure out how to have this discussion. And then I tell Andrea, I say, boy, here we're going to be dancing around this thing too much, you know, let me just do it because we're almost to the end of our season. We have 2 more episodes, 43 and 44 to go, and we'll be taking a season break. And I said, boy, we might as well jump into it because if this thing is coming, we need to be able to understand how we're going to deal with it, right? Because I have 4 children, 3 of which are boys, 1 is which are girl. From all intents and purposes, they seem like they are heterosexual, but I have to always keep it in the back of my mind. They go into school, right? And impressionable as well. So there will be scenarios where the boys will have that experience with the more effeminate boys, and the girls will have the experience with the girls who are more masculine, you know what I mean? Because it exists, it's out there. But I have to then prepare my children for that. You understand what I'm saying? It's a difficult conversation to have. It's not one I am prepared to have, but I have no choice to have it now because it is coming, you know? So I don't know if you ever heard this song, but I'm going to close off with this song because it was a tribute to the Black Agenda. I played it twice. Twice in the show already, so I'll close off with it. So people, thanks to everybody who joined us today.
Yes, it was a pleasure to be on. I look forward to being back at some point.
Yeah, man. Right, so we're running with the Black Agenda again. Thanks again on behalf of OURFM, Brother David Mohammed, for joining us on the Black Agenda project. Tell them how to find you.
So you can use the handle Black Agenda Project on just about all of the social media platforms.
Right.
Facebook.com/Black Agenda Project, YouTube.com/Black Agenda Project, Instagram and TikTok.com/Black Agenda Project, and the website www.blackagendaproject.com.
All of the books are available, all of the paraphernalia.
Yeah,
all right,
everything available on the website. And just to mention, we have one of the programs that we're most proud of is our Saturday morning Boys Academy. At the Kwame Ture Center, we named it the George Padmore Boys Academy, where we have close to 100 young men from all across Trinidad, but in particular within the surrounding community. And we provide free breakfast every Saturday morning from 10, and our sessions start at 10:30 up to 12. And we are having incredible results with those young men from as young as 5 years old to as old as 17 years old.
What? I mean, I spoke about it earlier, but I didn't realize he was making that kind of...
it's something else, and it's growing every week because we have
new
jerseys,
participants.
we have uniforms for everyone. And over the last 4 or so weeks, every week we give out at least 5 extra jerseys. So it's going really well. We have a team of mentors, positive big brothers.
Excellent.
You know, many from within the community grew up right there in Laventille and became a doctor or a lawyer or a business contractor or, you know, a school teacher, as the case may be. National footballers coming in, talking, inspiring them. And it's going really great.
Excellent.
And then, of course, Sunday mornings, I have my weekly lectures at the center. From 11 o'clock in the morning.
Beautiful. All right, folks, so we are out. It has been excellent to all of you all who would have commented and, you know, brought the perspectives. We say thanks, and we'll see you all next week, Tuesday, same time, same bat channel.
The first responsibility that devolves upon you is the protection and promotion of your democracy. Democracy means more, much more, than the right to vote, and one vote for every man and every woman of the prescribed age. Democracy means recognition of the rights of others. Democracy means the equality of all.
All right, let me summarize the SOE real quick in like 4 minutes. So they lock up some wabin and then keep non-release all to the mainstream, talking about bringing back the hangman to hang who? If they wanna stop crime, then they go have to lock themselves up, rape each other for one, feed themselves prison food and hang themselves when they're done. If they ain't like that, tell them check my when I done. And I go tell them for myself that they can hold their mother cut. Now what? Now they're censoring the media, pressuring one or two to take Muhammad off the air. Investigating he for incitement, investigate yourself for dictatorship, cause I shit. Real shit, go dead now. I've enough curry to bust a pot with every crab in the red house. Enough punching to drunken camera for a year. Enough fish on YouTube for Ram Lagan to pull out the hair. And in other news, they still fighting Sensi. Coke still coming, the PP still don't like none of we. So don't let them abuse we. Go to arms, free speech, democracy. Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
But they tell them we'll be free, but we not free to speak. Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Where's the black agenda?
The freedom of speech.
Go to tell them we'll be free, but we not free to
Them
speak.
fellas too bright, so I had to get her to the pen. The last badge on a hip hop come to defend. The freedom of speech to criticize the government. They can lie to the masses when my truth go offend. Them attacks on the media I can't comprehend. Using the martial law to your fancy and whim. Silence who speak the truth and applaud who pretend. Every man you attack skin contain melanin. Instead of trying to get the black agenda to end, they should have tuned into the political sins. Race sharks in the water all exposed in the fin. Arrow flying in the dark from political gins. And fuck 1 or 2 if they can't support water, brother, we need pillars in the ship. While you're moving like some feathers, but I'm standing from a cause, unshakable tower, watching sat in his face while they're screaming black power. They said nothing when he was trying to incite. Seemed like a race war is where you're trying to ignite. All Muhammad trying to do is bring a little insight. When the revolution come, I hope you're ready for the fight.
What is the black agenda?
That freedom of speech.
What is the black agenda?
That freedom of speech.
What is the black agenda?
That freedom of speech.
What they tell them we'll be free, but we not free to speak. What is the black agenda?
That freedom of speech.
What is the black agenda?
That freedom of speech.
What is the black agenda?
That freedom of speech.
What they tell them we'll be free, but we not free to speak.
By proclaiming a black agenda, man become an offender. Attempts to silence him by those with hidden agendas. Every time a man of African descent give a speech about oppression, others get defensive. Why should you expect that black men live in the last place position that the world wants to give? Well, I read between the lines, looking to free minds. You want to stay behind to fit into your design, using political clout to try to muzzle my mouth. Can't stop the truth from getting out, but it shows what you're about, which means that addressing the black agenda is the correct road to fill those mental gaps and grow. I'm black and I'm proud, and that I have to show. Black and I'm proud, that I have to show. Black and I'm proud, black and I'm proud, black and I'm proud. The black agenda take my dull and mine and sharpen it. I put it in my heart, then I hearken it, and then I decide I would like to start with it. And after that, I never want to part with it.
What is the black agenda?
That freedom of speech.
What is the black agenda?
That freedom of speech.
What is the black agenda?
That freedom of speech.
What they tell them we'll be free, but we not free to speak. What is the black agenda?
That freedom of speech.
What is the black agenda?
That freedom of speech.
What is the black agenda?
That freedom of speech.
What they tell them we'll be free, but we not free to speak.